Southern Nevada water customers may not even know it, but we're all part owners in a vast ranching operation hundreds of miles outside the Las Vegas Valley.
Ranchers in east central Nevada say they are being bullied and run out of business by a ranching competitor with unlimited resources, namely the government. George Knapp of the I-Team has the story.
They're bullying me. They're pulling all this kind of crap, which they have no right to do. They're a state agency, for God's sakes.
Rancher Hank Vogler and his sheep have survived brutal winters, extended drought, predators, poachers, you name it. But Vogler isn't sure he can survive the ongoing onslaught from one of his neighbors, the Southern Nevada Water Authority. SNWA has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on a failed plan to siphon billions of gallons of groundwater from rural Nevada and ship it to Las Vegas via a $15 billion, 300-mile-long pipeline. As part of that plan, the agency spent close to $100 million to buy up at inflated prices large ranches in White Pine County. The plan was demolished in federal court, largely because removing the groundwater would create a dead zone in central Nevada, and the plan was officially declared dead.
This is my life.
But Vogler suspects the actions against him mean the water grab is still on the table.
And I think they're just trying to hold their deal together. And maybe long term, they think they're going to be able to build a pipeline.
None of this makes any sense.
For years, Vogler was one of the most outspoken critics of the water grab. Now he thinks he's being targeted for payback. There have been multiple clashes between longtime ranchers and the properties operated by SNWA. Vogler says SNWA has filed for additional water permits, including the same ones he's used to raise sheep for the past 21 years. He suspects SNWA is behind the $28,000 fine imposed on him by the BLM for trespassing, that is, for using the water that's been his since 2000.
I get a $28,000 willful trespass. They're trying to put 50 years of my life out the window. They're trying to destroy my business.
Vogler alleges that SNWA personnel vandalized his water system, disabled the pumps, poked holes in his troughs, and left his sheep to die.
They tore out my water troughs. They dismantled the control box on a well. They knocked holes in water troughs. George, if you and I did that, we'd be in Charlie Manson's cell.
Vogler says it's not just his ranch in the crosshairs, but others are being targeted as SNWA's ranch expands its operations. The legal bills are already draining him dry, while SNWA has a huge legal team funded by water customers in Las Vegas. Why is a state agency in the ranching business at all? Vogler says that federal policies prohibit government agencies from getting grazing permits, but SNWA has them. The Great Basin Water Network says the intent is obvious. Quote, SNWA maintains its massive farming and ranching operation for one reason, to export water for sprawl growth in Las Vegas at the expense of communities and the environment. Vogler says state agencies shouldn't be allowed to drive people like him out of business.
They have no business in direct competition with private enterprise, raising sheep, cows, or alfalfa.
George Knapp, 8 News Now.
Now, a spokesperson for SNWA, Bronson Mack, told us late today that SNWA believes it is eligible to receive grazing permits, given the BLM has approved such permits over the years. He adds there are no plans to pump any water to Las Vegas from the authority-owned properties.